Hey coaches, Coach Parker with CoachParker.org. How you guys doing today? Hey, I got a video on adjusting the 6-2-by-8 defense for these new youth football rules around defense about A-gappers and being head up with your D tackles and A-gappers and nobody rushing A-gap and all that kind of good stuff. So wanted to kind of go over that, just put out some ideas, kind of go over this new idea I had on what I'm calling a 47 gap attacker defensive package. And so let's kind of just talk this through. Looking for ideas really in the comments below, or you can email me on this or what you think about it. Just trying to brainstorm here. So let's get right into it. Before we do though, please like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Head over to my playbook store. I've got a ton of stuff over there now. Buy something or not, just comment, help support me to bring more free content to the youth football coaching community. Move on from there. Okay, so a lot of these new rules for defensive teams, especially 8U or 9U under, looks like they don't want anybody in the A gap or head up on the nose guard. So a lot of them you can be head up on the offensive guards and hit them first and then stunt into the A or B. Defensive tackles, they want you either head up on the offensive tackles or at least head up on somebody, but definitely not in the A gap, so kind of can play around with that. Some of these guys want the linebackers off 3 to 5 yards off the ball. They can or can't blitz depending on situations in your league, so that's an issue there. And then maybe a safety that's kind of 7 yards deep. So I've kind of taking a look at that. Some quick adjustments out of two defenses in my 6-2 multi-8 defense here. A lot of young teams will play, and myself included, will play this 6-3 where the Fred comes down to play an extra linebacker. And right now I kind of have him playing as a monster over in the D gap there by the wing back and the Tex tight end. And so that's kind of how you adjust that. I've got the A-gappers head up now on the guards instead of in A-gaps. So the two guards, defensive guards. I've got the D tackles head up on the tight ends. Now, if your group says they can, only be head up on the tackles, then you can definitely just move these guys over. And then these linebackers just have to adjust for that. You kind of could see that, right? So the linebackers would move to C, the tackles move to B kind of thing. So that's how you adjust that. And that basically moves into a tight tackle defense. But hopefully you don't have to go that far. But if you do, this is, you can do that. But this is a quick 6-3 adjustment, especially when no one's passing. Works out great. My favorite defense, though, for younger ages is the 70 diamond that I've used quite a bit. This thing definitely has issues with all these new rules. This is an old defense to stop the single wing and T formation and double wing, and it absolutely works. A lot of people in gaps. It's a beautiful defense for younger ages and teams that don't pass very much. So love this. But like I said, it's not really going to work. So I was flippant with a guy on one of the chat rooms about, well, just flip it since you can have only 4 men on the line and you have to have 7 men off. And I said, well, just kind of do a 47. And so I kind of started playing around with this 47 gap attacker, kind of some ideas there. And so this might be how it would look. And so you've got your 4 down linemen there, BA gaps with your guards and defensive tackles. And then you've got the 7 linebackers, corners, free safety, kind of all in a line there. That may work. And then here's what I'm calling kind of a tight here, where they basically got gap responsibility. Now the 4 down linemen are definitely going to shoot their gaps. Depending on your league, you could shoot or not shoot the gaps or do the contain here thing like that. But I just thought it was interesting. And then you can have 2 kind of safeties or whatever with the backside corner and maybe the 4 Fred linebacker that's kind of at a middle linebacker depth. And if you have to drop him, you could, but this is kind of how maybe that would look, maybe. And then maybe you would overshift them or rotate them to the strong side, so you could kind of rotate that corner and Fred over and still have this gap attack kind of thing. Maybe, I don't know, just thinking. If you've got comments how hard that would be, leave that down below. Or maybe you just have 4 to be a monster and you called strong left, and he monsters over to the open gap there between 1 and 2, and then because you've got to have 1 off, you could drop 7 back into kind of a safety role and then rotate him if you needed to. I don't know, I'm just kind of thinking. And if your linebackers can't blitz, then you could certainly not have them hitting the gaps, but you see the responsibility gaps there. Let's see. Or if all of that's too hard, maybe you just shift left and right and everybody will just shift as far as the 7. And then the guy over the center, when the shift happens, becomes the safety. So that's kind of one thing maybe that you could do there. The other thing, back in this gap attacker is you could have the 3 and 5 tap the D and the guards and tackles for what holes maybe they go to, so that it's almost like a loose stack on those. So that might be something interesting there if you get that. Or you could call, the reason I numbered the players here, you could call a 3-5-7, and then those guys are going to blitz, and then the defensive down linemen are going to have to know those guys are now coming through those particular gaps, and along with the 6 and 7 are going to have to do something a little different. Now that gets a little bit more complicated, but that's an interesting situation there. And then the 2 and 4 would back up possibly. I don't know. That's just kind of some thoughts on that. Kind of looking at that. Some other kind of front formations and things that you could make it look at. You know, if you don't want any guys in the A gaps, you could go into like a double wide. You could go loosey and drop some of these backs back. Then you had gap 8. Sometimes I guess it's inside the 10. Some of these guys can come down on the line, so you can set that up. But yeah, this is just a quick video on some thoughts on maybe how to adjust for these new rules and maybe a new little defense here. Would like to hear your thoughts on this. I kind of like that it could be a cross between a stack defense and an old 5-6 or 6-5, even a 3-5-3 kind of stack defense where you're stacking the 7 and you can call numbers to have those numbers to blitz in certain holes and tap. I don't know. There's something around this, and I'm still fleshing it out. Would love to hear your thoughts on that. So leave those in the comments. Hit like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And as always, you can head over and hit and take a look at my 6-2 multi-8 defense, which coaches have called the 6-2 defense on steroids because it shifts into all kinds of other defensive fronts and things like that. So take a look at that. And then there's more playbooks over at coachparker.org at the playbook store. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this quick chalk talk on adjusting for the new defensive rules for younger teams in some of these youth football leagues. This is Coach Parker with coachparker.org. Remember to play for fun, and winning is funner. I will see you guys next time. Ciao.